But before we get to all that, let's start with the, as they say, Siempre Positivo. So let's start with the Positivo. The headline maker this week is Gavi, especially against Italy, that performance, with Spain. And I purposely tried to stay away from your Gavi takes, on Twitter and everywhere, because I wanted to hear him here. So I'm assuming you think he's pretty good. You agree with everyone else that he's pretty good?
Yes, of course. Well, it's not what we think; it's what we have seen from him playing, as Luis Enrique said, as he was in the playground of the school, feeling no pressure, being not only great attacking and with the ball, but also without the ball. We saw against Italy like 3 or 4 tackles and defensive actions in his own box. So for me, the best point in Gavi is that he's a midfielder of the football of now. I mean, it's not enough now on being good with the ball. You need to be also good without the ball. And I think that Gavi has all these things. And of course, we saw playing against his heroes, Berratti and all these players. So, as Luis Enrique said, he's the future, but also the present. And for me, since now, of course, he should be starter in Barcelona, yes?
Yeah, I mean, after the game, it was circulating that Marco Verratti was Gavi's idol. That's what people had said. And if that's the case, then Pablo Martin Paez Gavira outplayed his idol. I think he completed, 88.7% of his passes. That number got even better the closer he got to Italy's goal. It was 92.9% completed passes in the final third, going 37 of 38 in Italy's half of the field. And I'd also seen there was a story of him not being registered until January when he first arrived at the club. This is what now going on when he was 10, 11 years old. So this is, I guess, only 6 years ago. So when he arrived from Real Betis, the story is that he wasn't registered in the summer. He had to wait till January, but then immediately after coming on the field, scores a goal and breaks his nose. And this is when he's 11 years old, right? That story, to me, indicates all of what Gavi is. Now, hearing that again, and I'd seen it a few years ago, but the fact that when he first made his Barcelona debut as an 11-year-old, breaks his nose, scores a goal, and still wants to play the very next game, that's just what Gavi is. He has that fight and that mettle. And, we talk so much, Toni, about tactics, about X's and O's, about this player needs to be here, this player needs to get into this space, and yada, yada, yada. But sometimes doesn't football just come down to what team wants it more, what team has the desire, what team has the fight?
Totally agree. I definitely agree with you. In fact, nowadays, I think that there are not big difference when it comes to technical and all these things, because all the teams are really prepared. So what makes the difference is 2 things: that desire that you mean, the first, the attitude, and the second point, the head, the mind of the players. How do you feel the pressure? How do you lead with all these things? And I think that the head of Gavi is really prepared to succeed. Of course, yes, sometimes we make always the same mistake, because with 2, 3, 4, 5 big games, we are comparing them with big heroes. Yes, maybe we are going all together. We are all going too fast. But yes, his head seems to be prepared to compete with the best players in the world. Sometimes, for example, when you see a young player, he shows too much respect when he plays in front of players like Bonucci, Chiellini, but he has played as if he was 13. When he needs to make fouls, he committed fouls. I think that he committed 5, 6 fouls, and I think there were no normal fouls. They were really strong fouls. So it means that he doesn't mind who is playing against. His own personality, and I think this is the most important thing to succeed at Barcelona, because you are going to play in front of 99,000 person.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that in the Revista Barca, there was that image. I have a YouTube video I'm working on about everybody in that picture, about this new generation that's coming. But when it comes to Ansu, Pedri, and Gavi in particular, that trio, right, and then debuting with Spain, I want to bring attention to the fact that, are we rushing Gavi? Are we pushing him too far forward? Are we putting too many expectations on him, just like Pedri, just like Ansu? But the way I kind of answer that is that Ansu was the 3rd youngest. Well, yeah, at the time, he was the 2nd youngest player to ever debut with Spain and the youngest goal scorer ever. Over the summer, Pedri started in the Euros. He was the youngest player ever to play for Spain at a major international tournament, but not just to play, but also to start. And then Gavi wasn't only the youngest player to ever make his debut for Spain, beating an 85, 87-year record. What was it, 1936? So Gavi breaks this record that's been around for 85 years. And not only does he break it, it's not a 90-minute. It's not like when it's not when Yusuf Demir, when he debuted for Austria a few months ago, when he comes on in the 90th minute. It's that ceremonial 16-year-old player who comes on for Turkey or Luxembourg or whoever it is in the 90th minute. No. Gavi started in a Nations League, not that Nations League matters, but he starts in a semifinal of this tournament that, in theory matters. He's given the keys. And so as much as, you don't want to throw, I think it's different between saying, hey, Ricky Puig is like Iniesta or Nico is the new Busquets. No offense to those players, but Ansu, Pedri, and Gavi are on a different level. And you could say that we're not putting too many expectations on them. They're already that good. Those three in particular.
Yes. And with Gavi, apart from that, you need to succeed to have a trainer that trusts you. For example, I remember that a lot of trainers. I remember Mourinho. He had one day a list of the players from the younger squad that he had created a debut for them. But it's what you say. A lot of them, they had minutes on the 90th minutes, on the 93rd minute, on the 85th minutes, getting in the pitch. But with Gavi, Luis Enrique said, okay, I will trust you even if you have only played 200 minutes with the first squad of Barcelona. Yes, it's not the same playing the last minutes than playing in the beginning of the game, where it's much difficult to create spaces. So yes, of course, this is really, it makes the value. For me, there is one problem. What's going to happen when Pedri is back, when Dembele is back, with Ansu? Yes, with Ansu, of course, no doubt he's going to be a starter. But when all these players get recovered, I want to see if Koeman keeps trusting Gavi, because I'm not sure about that.
Well, yeah. So let's talk about Koeman now. At this international break, it seems like the most outspoken Kool-Aids have all come to the same conclusion, that this squad, while still missing a few pieces, is better or should be better than what they've shown recently, and might do so with a different manager. I was listening to Siempre Positivo, and the three of you kind of were mentioning that, going into Atletico Madrid, it always felt like Barcelona was going to lose. It felt like the comments from Koeman and the comments from players were that they weren't going to get a result, and then they didn't get that result. So just looking at the situation that you were covering in Barcelona with sources from the club about the change of heart that Laporta seemed to have about Koeman's future, I would just ask, kind of where are we at this juncture? We know that Koeman is here to stay for a bit, but, where are we with the decisions that he's going to have to make forward about, whether the team is still missing pieces, but, just knowing that the team should be better with the talent that is available, just seen by what Luis Enrique did for Spain, that this team should be better. So where are we with Koeman? Where are we with, with how this team is set up?
It's also difficult to know to answer this question, because I think that during some moments, even Laporta didn't know where we were, because I think in some point he got lost. By now, the fact is, they have been talking with a lot of trainers. I know that we know that he's in love with German coach, and what does it mean? Of course, if you want to sign a German coach, you are not going to sign him in the middle of the season, because no chance they come now. So you have two options. If it's going to be worse and worse and worse, you are going to activate Xavi earlier than you expected. But on the other hand, I still think that Xavi is not the favorite of Laporta. So that's why they still think, okay, let's see if we can reach the end of the season with Koeman, and then maybe we will bring a German coach. Today, Laporta spoke on the radio, and when they asked to him if Koeman was going to be the manager next season, of course he tried to say, okay, no, we are now with him. Just okay, maybe it's only for now. But I don't know. My feeling is like Jordi Cruyff, of course, he has been the most important person to convince Laporta that he needs to stay with Koeman. For example, if you take care on what we saw in Wanda Metropolitano, we saw in the box where was Koeman managing the team, because he was not on the bench. He was with Jordi Cruyff. That was not something casual. Jordi Cruyff wanted to say, okay, I'm with you and I will support you. And we know that Jordi Cruyff's advices, Laporta pays a lot of attention on what he says. And for me, yes, now Koeman said, we are going to play better. We are going to count on Agüero. We are going to count on Dembele. We are going to count on all these things. But for me, this is not the question, because it's not how many players or how good are those players that you are going to recover. The problem is the idea of Ronald Koeman. Does Laporta trust his plans, his idea of playing with 3 center backs? I think the answer is totally no. That's why it makes no sense on keep going with this project with Koeman.